네, 안녕하세요. 빨리 읽고 가보도록 하겠습니다. 제가 오디오가 잘 나오고 있죠? 네, 잘 나오고 있습니다. 자, 제가 원래 방송 끝나면은 거의 바로 하는데 오늘은 일정이 있어가지고 지금 하게 됐습니다. 혹시 들어오실 수도 있으니까 공유는 하고 해볼게요. 네, 지금 여기다가 뿅 올리고요. 네, 자 41일차 읽어보도록 하겠습니다. 자, 41일차는요 121페이지부터네요. 121페이지. 네, 여기 표시를 해놓은 데부터 네, 읽어보겠습니다. Chewing well was what my mother always told me to do when I was sick. It was a Sunday. Lynn slept most of the day. By evening, when I tried to feed her, the food just fell out of her mouth. She didn't have the energy to chew. I even offered to chew it for her, but she said, "Gross." My mother decided to take her to the hospital. My father was at work and nobody in the building was home because it was bowling night. So my mother called Uncle Katsuhisa to come take care of Sammy and me. Uncle didn't like to bowl because he only liked games where he had to think. I watched as my mother put Lynn's jacket over her pajamas. Lynn staggered out the door. I locked the front door and waited for my uncle to arrive. Sammy's forehead was all wrinkled. He was calm, like my father, so it was unusual to see his forehead wrinkled that way. My mother always liked to say he was never going to get wrinkles because he hardly ever frowned. But now he was probably worried about Lynn. When Uncle Katsuhisa knocked on the door, I made him give me a password. He said with irritation, "Open up now, young lady, or bear my wrath." That happened to be the password, so I opened the door. Uncle came in with Auntie Fumi and David and Daniel. They did everything together. Unlike my father, Uncle worked only one job, and Auntie didn't work at all. David and Daniel probably got to see their parents all the time. I didn't know what to expect from Uncle and Auntie. Last time I had seen them, they had been fighting. They were like that. One day they were madly in love, and the next day they were fighting. And then the next day they were madly in love again. Usually Uncle Katsuhisa was boisterous, but today, when he came over, he was restrained. Plus, Uncle and Auntie were snapping at each other a bit. Obviously, they'd been fighting. He said, "One thing I can't stand is a woman who spends money unnecessarily." She said, "A woman needs a coat," he said. "In 90-degree weather?" She said, "It won't always be 90. And so on. Then they stopped, and we all just sat there glumly. All of a sudden, Uncle Katsuhisa stood up and announced, "We are going to play Scrabble." He said that as if playing Scrabble were as fun as going bike riding or something. I wasn't a good Scrabble player, but it was better than sitting around the living room staring at one another. I set up the game. Uncle sat in a chair and said, "It's family time." Sam could already read simple words, but he was too young to play. He sat beside me. Uncle looked suspiciously at him, as if he might somehow help me cheat. David and Daniel studied their letters. I was first. I studied my letters. There didn't seem to be a word in them. Uncle cleared his throat. After a moment, I could hear his foot first tap, 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 and then whomp, whomp, whomp on the floor. I sensed I was already ruining our family time. He peeked at my letters and threw his hands into the air. Think, Katie. Think, Katie. Think, Katie. He looked at me as if I were possibly brain damaged. 네, 여기까지가 내일 부분입니다. 자, 그러면은 우리 또 내일 만나서 또 읽어보도록 할게요. 뿅!